Find other great podcasts like this one at podmoth.network.
Welcome to the Getting Down and Wordy podcast ad.
What do we do on this podcast?
Well, it's the first Edda musical podcast.
Can you try that again in real words so that people can understand?
Fine. We talk about the intersection of popular music and language.
Oh, can we also talk about Eurovision?
Okay.
Find us on Apple and Spotify.
We are a Podmoth Network podcast.
Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy.
And I'm Diva.
And this is Twisted Listeners, a podcast about murder
and lists.
Brought to you by the Podmoth Podcasting Network, the best little podcast network there is. Check out all the other podcasts on there. And this is part 2 of murders posted on Facebook, which I have to point out, I think all of the people that we are covering this week are like in their 40s, which is such a
there's a demographic for this
of Facebook. Like,
yes,
Facebook is officially over when the people who are primarily using it are like 40-year-old men talking about killing. Like, that's when you know that your platform it peaked and it's now rushing towards the gutter.
I like how this is like an exceedingly rare thing, I'm sure, but like you're making it sound like every single post is just a murder.
Listen,
every single one.
Here's what I can tell you is that I've been on Facebook more this week than I have in the last like 2 years researching this. So to me, yes, that's all Facebook is, but I don't know. It could also just be, I mean, I'm on Instagram like 24 hours a day. It's kind of disgusting. Which luckily Facebook, I say luckily like I give a shit about them, but they were able to purchase it. So they got to keep the money flowing. But I think otherwise Facebook is kind of a turd. So anyway, there's me editorializing about Facebook. You're going first. Wait, should we talk about anything?
Yes.
What should we talk
about? Happy Valentine's Day. I don't know. Is that a thing? I guess we'll have another episode before that happens.
Yeah, it'll come out the day before. Yeah. All right, well, whatever.
Oh man, we should have done a thematic Valentine thing.
We normally do. What has happened to us? We are so like,
I forgot.
I know, we're jaded.
Oh, actually, I mean, we kind of are in a way, though. Now that I think about the topic.
Actually, you're right. It is because it's weirdly.
It's not. Yeah, no.
We're not going to tell you guys till the end of the episode, but now you want to know. Now you're going to listen to all the bullshit at the end to find out, aren't you? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll do a post-Valentine theme for the
That'd be fun too, like a more like obvious one. Anyway, hi guys, sorry.
Romantic murders.
We know that you guys love when we work out what we're gonna do while you listen.
Live on the air.
You're fucking welcome.
So fun.
I'm doing a Patreon on Monday. It'll be posted on Tuesday. I finished the research. It's a fucking meaty ass case. It's the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. I'm gonna officially say it now.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it is. Good. It's fucking gnarly.
There's some Bundy in it, a little bit.
Yeah, a touch of buns, touch of the bund.
The buns.
Bund. There's a little Zodiac moment. Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's gonna be really good. Anyway, if you'd like to join us on Patreon, you can do that as patreon.com/twistedlisters. If you'd like to check us out on TikTok, it's just @twistedlisters. I started a Twitter. We're not doing a lot on there yet. Fuck Elon Musk, but even so, it's @twisted_listers. If you'd like to join us on Instagram, you can do that at
Twisted Listers PCast.
If you would like to send us an email with case suggestions, you can do that at
twistedlisterspod@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to check out our website, which I did update, so we're good to go there, and stickers will be on it soon, you can do that at
twistedlisterspod.com.
Woo woo! All right. And also patrons.
And if you are...
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say patrons that just signed up, send us your address. I have requested it. I'm going to send you stickers. Do it.
Ooh, very exciting new limited edition, extra cool stickers.
Yes, they're awesome. They're clear though. So you have to put them on like a kind of a bold
Mhm.
background for them to pop.
Right.
But if you do it, it looks fucking great. So
And if you're like just a super fan, and you're like, I have to collect every sticker, then you can buy them on the website.
yes, which I don't have that set up yet, but I will soon. Anyway,
You will be able to.
I will.
And also,
Yeah, yeah,
Cindy,
yeah.
I was going to say, if you're wondering why I keep looking to the right, it's because my cat Luna is stalking a bug, and I'm really like kind of waiting for there to be some gore and action.
Nice. She is such a hunter. I love it.
She is, yeah. She does a lot of violence.
She does a
against-
lot of violence.
She loves to snuggle and she loves to murder bugs, so I can't
Those-
stop her.
Those are two fantastic things, I think, in a cat. So
Yeah,
if I ever get a cat, which I hope I do, I want them to be like that. So
yeah. She's as a service.
she does. Let's talk about Facebook murders because I'm excited to hear
Yeah,
about
yeah.
yours. What your 40-year-old
boy.
man did.
Yeah, exactly. So this is he's a 50-year-old actually in this
Oh, okay.
case. Going up. Yeah, this case is like brutal and tortury and also surreal, and it feels like
Ooh.
hard to believe all these things are in one case.
All right, I'm excited.
So we're going to Australia. This is
Oh.
it's gonna be wild when we go to Australia.
Yes, always.
Whenever Australians murder, they just go like, full out.
They go hard. Yeah, Australians
Ooh.
don't fuck around. They make
No.
it count. You know.
Yeah. So this is the murder of Sean Baker. It happened in 2014
Okay.
in Kulala Cove. I think that's again Australia. Also, I hate to make fun of them, but they do have some wild names. Kulula Cove.
I wouldn't make fun of them. I make fun of myself for not being able to pronounce rad shit. Like that's how I feel.
Yeah,
because I
that's
see
true.
it
So
and I'm like,
Kulula Cove.
yeah, Kulula. I like
Kulula
that.
Cove, by the way, is near, I think, like a nature area that is called Poverty Point. And I just had to point that out because why would you name a point Poverty Point?
Yeah, that's fucking bizarre.
That's adjacent
Yeah,
to this
okay.
area.
All right.
So we have Stephen John Armitage, who's 50, his son Matthew Leslie Armitage, who's 27, father-son duo, and William Francis Dean, their buddy, who is 43, so closer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't find much about them and their background, but by way of like their bio, let me just tell you that Matthew Armitage has a lot of pictures of him online somehow, shirtless, posing with dead wild boars.
Ew,
So that should just like give you an aroma, a taste in your mouth of like what to expect.
Yeah, instead of spending 10 minutes talking about him as a person, you just laid it all out right there.
Paint you an image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's shirtless and he's got a dead pig.
Okay.
And then and I also found a photo of Stephen Armitage, the dad, wearing a shirt that says FBI female body investigator.
Come on, dude.
So there you go. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, all right.
That's who we're dealing with. Yeah.
Definitely
really classy.
50 and on Facebook.
classy people. Yeah. So
All right.
at some point, they have a quote unquote drug dispute with drug dealer Sean Baker.
Okay.
And Sean, according to some people who knew him at this time, was acting super stressed and paranoid for several days. He thought people were out to get him because, they probably were.
Yeah, he's not necessarily
They literally
wrong.
were.
Yeah.
Wasn't just being paranoid. It's true. He was basically paranoid, according to these friends, because these people, I just told you who, had been accusing him of stealing $80,000 worth of ice. And in parentheses, my poor self wrote, what is ice? Is that meth?
I think it's like a
which drug is ice?
combo. I think it's like a combo drug. Ice drug. What is the drug? Crystal. Yeah.
Oh, it is meth. It is meth.
Crystal.
Okay.
But it's not just meth, it's
Okay.
like crystal. That's why they call it ice, because
Yeah,
it
it's
looks
a
like
form.
ice.
Gotcha.
There we
Okay. I'm
go.
glad I don't know anything about meth. I'm so glad. Okay. So $80,000 worth of meth. That's what he's accused of stealing.
Okay.
And so obviously that's going to motivate people to be mad at him and it's going to freak him out. He probably didn't do it for all we know. I'm going to say he probably didn't.
Okay.
And basically he was going around like kind of saying goodbyes to people, telling them he loved them. So he kind of knew something was coming.
And he didn't just that is weird to me. Like, you think you're going to be murdered and you don't like leave town. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying, like, if I thought that people were out to get me and they were going to kill me, I'd probably hide. Like, I'd probably like leave the state and go hide.
Maybe he tried to hide out with someone and they found him. So I don't know exactly how they come to procure Sean. So maybe he was hiding out. I don't know.
Yeah. And again, it's not like he shouldn't have to be doing any of this, but it's an interesting thing to know that he was like saying his goodbyes as though he was like dying of a terminal illness or something. Like it's interesting. Yeah.
But it makes sense he would want to go to the police because he, is a drug dealer and that's going to freak him out.
Yeah, that's probably not going to.
So they don't want to get him for something else. Yeah.
Right.
So because they're mad about this probably fake theft, and again, I don't know how they procure Sean or abduct him, but they do abduct him and they hold him against his will. And I'm going to go through a list of a lot of torture right now. So just like, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Okay. Warning.
For everyone but Cindy. She has to sit through it. She has no option.
Lucky.
But yeah, so, oh my God. Okay. So this group of guys here held Sean in a esky, which I had to look up. And in Australian speak, that means a cooler.
An esky? Oh, like an Eskimo. That is racist. That's not cool.
Well, yeah, what they call it is this is specifically a fishing esky. So that's a thing where you're going to put the fish, to freeze them to death when you're done fishing and stuff.
To freeze them
when you're done
death.
procuring your fish.
What you do?
No, that's what I did the one time I was fishing. We froze them to death.
Froze them to death? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's humane, dude. What are you going to do? Stab them?
I mean, yeah. That's what everybody I've never gone fishing with has done.
Our
freezing
guy said it was very humane.
Who?
Because they just lose consciousness. They're not like subject to traumatic blunt trauma. They're just like lose consciousness.
Dude, I have been in like 60-degree weather and been like more uncomfortable than I've ever been in my life. Can you imagine?
No, but it's like a deep freeze. It's like a mega deep freeze. It's not like lightly cold. Yeah, they're just like whoop. They're just out of there. They're not flopping around at all.
I'm gonna have to look into
this.
It's
very humane.
I'm gonna have to look into. I don't like the name.
Okay, well, I don't know if that was.
But anyway.
Okay, well, I don't know if that's how this cooler functioned or not, or if they were just letting them flop in there, probably. But I'm just saying one time that I've only been fishing one time in my life, and I didn't catch any fish, but I saw other people catch fish, and they went in the cooler.
Okay, also, I'm going to have to edit that out because they're just called Esky because it's the brand, ESKY.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought they were saying like
not
Eskimo.
Because of Eskimo.
I was like, that's fucked up.
No. Well, I mean, the brand Esky might refer to Eskimo, though.
Yeah, that's true. But it's like how we call them igloo.
I wouldn't rule that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
So Esky's a brand of. Okay.
Sorry.
Back to Sean here. So they're keeping Sean inside a fishing cooler.
Okay.
Here, and he was kept in there for many days. He was obviously starved. They fed him water laced with drugs. Not sure which drugs.
So like
they
he's
put
like
honey on it.
So he's like in a freezer, essentially. I'm sorry. He's like in a freezer, like an esky.
So
the biggest one I'm seeing is like 80 inches. Like they're not gigantic.
No, so I don't think he's being frozen. Actually, I think he's just in a tiny ass box.
Okay, so they're not
Smashed
actually
in there.
freezing him, but he is in a tiny box.
Tiny box, yeah, cooler, yeah.
That's
so
fucking crazy.
He's being held in there, yeah. It's a very small. It's a picture a cooler, yeah. That's where he is.
Ow.
There's no icing taking place. I don't think.
Okay, right.
He's kept in there for multiple days, like I said. They assaulted him and tortured him all kinds of different ways. I think they would kind of take him out to torture him, put him back in the cooler.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, they lift and drop the cooler from where in which he was contained in a forklift. So they like lift it really high and drop it.
Oh shit.
He had broken bones and his face, kneecaps, and hands were all smashed.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He had a finger cut off.
That got my whole body. Oh God.
He was subject to water torture.
Dude.
Like this gets elaborate. He was also taken and tied to a tree for some of this torture. At which point they put honey on his genitals so that ants would bite them.
I mean, that seems really elaborate for them. Like, I mean, all of this is elaborate, but like that one feels really weird to do that. Like, did they already bust his kneecaps and his face and his hands and cut his finger off and then they went and did that? That feels like...
I don't know which order all this happened in. It's just a laundry list. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But it's quite medieval. They literally used to do that in medieval times, like quite literally.
That's fucking wild.
Same with the water torture. So at some point, Sean is either, it's unclear how he finally dies, but you can imagine He's either murdered or dies from these many injuries.
Or shock.
Or maybe suffocation from the cooler. We don't know.
Yeah.
Sometime around this time, and I'm going to circle back to how we know this. And here's the Facebook post. It's not a huge part of the Facebook post, but I still wanted to do this case because this is such an unusual use of the murder Facebook post.
Okay.
That I just have to tell you about it. So at some point, Stephen Armitage posted on his Facebook advertising that he had human body parts for sale.
What?
Yes.
Seriously?
On Facebook. I don't think
like Facebook Marketplace. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if he used Marketplace. There's a lot of questions. Don't know if he used Marketplace. I don't know if he said like any murder details. I was like, or he's like, oh, I just found these parts, you know, or if he was like, I killed someone. Also, do you want the body? Like how much detail he went into. I don't know which parts. I don't know if anyone bought them. I don't know if he had any takers. I don't know who's buying body parts off Facebook.
Yeah, that's.
But he posted that to his feed.
Wow. That's bold and dumb and weird. It's like really bizarre.
Weird.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that happened. So,
wow.
Again,
okay.
It's not a huge part of the case. Just so strange
Yeah.
that I felt it was important to say.
It is, yeah.
Stephen then posts another picture to Facebook of him shirtless in bed. This is a picture I used for our Instagram.
Yeah.
Stephen's shirtless in bed. He's got each of his wrists bound to a top corner of the bed frame, so he's kind of in a crucifix pose, right?
Mm-hmm.
His arms look like they're very stretched out, kind of uncomfortably, and his shoulders almost look like a bit out of their socket, like he's really stretching.
Mm-hmm.
On his chest, he has two kind of little tattoos that almost look like eagles, and I couldn't see them well enough, but they look vaguely Nazi-ish to me. I'm not going to throw any accusations, but they look sinister.
They do. They might be like swallows that are just like old and shitty, would be my guess. Like that's
true.
Kind of what they look
like.
At the
most innocent, they're just bad tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So his mouth, he's got kind of looks like he might be kind of missing teeth because he's got or he's making a weird face. I can't decide what. He's got a weird facial expression.
He does. His jaw's like a little crooked.
A little crooked, yeah. I can't decide if that's just his face, for lack of a better way to put it, or if he's trying to make a face.
Right.
And he's got kind of like iridescent purple sheets. And then between his legs, he has a big Halloween prop skull.
Yeah.
So at this, I guess he's feeling his best murderer life, and he just decides to post this because he thinks it makes him look cool. But it's honestly just a really weird photo.
It's a fucking very weird photo.
It's very weird because he's not like trying to look cool or sexy. Like this facial expression is so like lame that it's kind of like, are you trying to look cool? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
it's a bondage thing.
I think it's a bondage thing. It almost looks like one of those like creepy dudes like dating profile pictures. That it's just like they don't realize that it's a screaming red flag that's like, I will lock you in a basement. They think it's like sexy and you're like, no, you're clearly like a psycho. I don't know. That's what that says to me.
The purple for some reason is quite significant because to me that shade and that choice of purple bedsheet tells me that he's trying to be kind of goth.
I don't know. Maybe
he's not succeeding, but he is trying.
Well, with the skull, I can see it. Yeah, like he's like he's a gothy bad boy kind of thing. Yeah, it's not good. He's
trying, like I said, it's not successful, but I can tell that's what he was thinking.
The attempt is there. Yeah.
It's like a Tim Burton purple, you know.
It is. It is. Yeah, you're right. What a weird situation.
So April of 2014, shortly after this all happens, Sean's remains, about 80% of them, so he clearly didn't have that great of a sale of body parts. About 80% of his remains are found dispersed in various locations in a forest near Gympie. I'm not sure. Let's say Gympie. I like that better.
Gympie works.
They were charred, and at first they were only found very small fragments of bone, but eventually they started finding larger pieces. So they're very partial, very damaged, and they were clearly like dismembered.
Right.
Additional partial remains are found burnt in a fire pit nearby.
Oh, Jesus.
So you can kind of put everything together there.
So basically
Yeah.
Sorry, his Facebook post was just a waste of time and basically just a way for him to get caught because obviously he didn't sell anything.
Well, I don't think he got caught through that post. I think he got caught because he was probably telling everyone that he was going to murder John or something much more obvious. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure to what extent that the Facebook post was the what did it.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, there's a little bit of missing chunks in this, but what chunks I do have are interesting.
There are fucking plenty. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. So what the remains being found are actually what triggers the investigation. So that's like, oh, we should find out who killed this person.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how they come to him. I think, again, Stephen and friends were being very dumb and very vocal about this. Yeah, I think that's probably what did him in. And Stephen's house where this all took place is, again, in Kulula Cove. And Stephen was reportedly really nonchalant and cocky when police got there. Basically, had an attitude of like, I'm never going to be caught for this. He said he didn't know Sean when I think it was clear that he did. Then he said that there was a rumor Sean was his ex-wife's boyfriend, which that's also interesting. There could be another motive there. If that's true.
And also in like a small area where they're all kind of living the same kind of life. That sounds like reasonable to believe, you know?
Yes. And he said, quote, this is to the police. It's just a random quote. Quote, the rumors are bullshit. I'd be buying the guy a beer if he was my ex-wife's boyfriend, not burying him in a hole. Which is like, I think thou doth protest too much. Like, I'm totally cool with my ex-wife having a boyfriend. We'd be hanging out, drinking beers. To me, that says you're not cool with it.
Yeah, because like, why would you be inserting yourself like that into their lives? Like,
yeah, to me, it says he's trying too hard to sound cool with it.
Yeah, I'd be that guy's best friend. I'd buy him a car. Like, why wouldn't you just leave him alone?
We have friendship bracelets. We'd be best friends. Like, calm down, you know?
Yeah, dude, relax. Nobody needs to be convinced that much.
He complained that the police were breaking some of his property at his house, looking in their search. So he's like right away, like, this is a hassle. He was, after he like tortured this guy to death.
Yeah.
So murder charges are filed against the trio. At the trial, we hear from a witness named Ian Schultz, who said that they threatened him. I think he's in the same like circles. And they threatened him and said, they told me, quote, if I spoke to police that my head would be in a fucking esky. So they're threatening people with eskies right and left.
Yeah, they're like keeping on theme at least.
Yeah. So what this witness also says on the stand is horrifying because like, I think he was marginally there. Like, he saw some of the torture, basically, but he wasn't, like, involved.
Right.
And basically, they said, shut the fuck up about that stuff you saw. So what he saw, in fact, like I said, is horrifying. He was told to stay away from a cooler because a guy is in there, basically. And then he heard muffled noises and from inside of it.
Right.
And then heard Steven screaming at the cooler, like, shut the fuck up.
Wow. That is so, like... That's like a Quentin Tarantino movie moment. Like, it's so fucking bizarre and
really, really dark. Yeah.
So dark. God damn.
The defense tried to cast doubt on his testimony, saying that he was inebriated at the time. He doesn't remember. In 2018, I think there's long legal proceedings here that I kind of skimmed, but they're boring, so we don't care. But in 2018, the charges of torture are dropped by the Crown.
What?
Just gonna let that sit there for a minute.
Why?
For everyone.
There's like a witness to it. There's like a witness. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. So.
There's a statement from a judge here that will kind of say why all this is happening. And trust me, it's very unsatisfying. You're going to be mad.
I bet.
The men are convicted of Sean's murder. But later, this is many years of legal proceedons, they overturned those convictions on appeal. They first get like first degree murder life sentences. Then those are overturned on appeal. They get convicted only of manslaughter each.
Why? I don't understand. If they were torturing this guy for days, how is that manslaughter?
So Justice Morrison said, quote, Mr. Barker's cause of death could not be determined, which is true because the remains were so badly degraded. They couldn't determine the cause of death, which they put a lot of stake in.
Okay. All right.
And I'm like, what about the fact that he's burnt and dismembered and scattered? Like, that kind of like doesn't bode well, right? Like, that's not a natural death.
Yeah. And people like knew that. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Whatever. Okay. All right. Okay.
I left the most bananas part of the sentence off. I'm going to start again. Okay.
Okay.
Justice Morrison said, quote, Mr. Barker's cause of death could not be determined, and it was reasonable. No one had intended to cause the death or harm.
That is not reasonable by any stretch ever at all. What the
This gets
fuck?
crazier. I'm not done with this statement. It gets dumber.
Oh my
Quote,
God.
here's the judge again. Quote, the evidence supported a finding that Barker was being held for the purpose of discovering where missing drugs or money were kept. The inference being that it was in the interest of all the others to keep him alive.
But that doesn't mean that
So-
they weren't harming him. I don't understand.
Right. They're basically buying into these guys' like defense, which is essentially that they were torturing him to get the missing drugs or information about the missing drugs, which I'm sorry, in what planet, even if that's quote unquote like their motive, if that torture leads to his death in any way, how is that manslaughter? Like that's
And
at
how
least
is that-
second degree.
Yeah, and like, how is there no reasonable, like he's saying it's not reasonable to say that they tortured him, but like he fucking did.
He's saying it's not reasonable to think that they intended to kill him.
Oh, got it. Well,
Yeah,
that just show,
essentially.
like, has he never seen a mobster movie or like read like a fucking like like a true crime novel? Like that is like
Yeah.
like 101. Like you fucking torture them, you get what you want or you don't, and then you kill them. How many people get tortured for information and then just like let go? That doesn't fucking happen.
No, exactly. Yeah, that was never going to be the outcome. But the judge wholesale 100% on this appeal judge just buys what they're saying and says like, oh, yeah, I believe that you never intended to kill him. We can't prove that you did kill him because we don't have the cause of death. And you definitely wanted to keep him alive because you wanted this information. So
How is this person a judge? That is insane.
like, what does he think fucking happened? They tortured him, and then he got up, wandered into the desert, and something else killed him? Like,
yeah, I don't
that-
fucking understand.
what scenario is that?
This guy
like
is
what they
no. There's something wrong with this judge, like specifically. If we like looked into him, I'm sure we would find some shit. Because there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way that like a normal person of sound mind would have this chain of reasoning. Like it's just not. It's not a thing. It's not a fucking
no,
thing.
and it's like it's totally insane. And it's like if no matter how you slice it, their torture led to his death, even if it was a quote unquote like unintentional. They were torturing him, so it kind of was intentional.
Also,
like, that's
charge
not
him with
manslaughter.
torture. Like torture is a big fucking deal. You can go to jail for a long time for that.
They dropped the torture charges. Yeah. So
That's insane. They dropped the torture
Correct.
charges and then based the defense on like, yes, we tortured him, but we didn't mean to kill him. Like what? I don't understand.
yes.
I don't understand.
But in that latter appeal case, the torture charges were gone. So they could only be charged with murder or not murder.
So that was clever. And also, what the
Yep.
fuck? What the fuck, courts?
So here we go. So Armitage Jr. and Sr. and William Francis Dean eventually pled guilty once this all works out to manslaughter.
Okay.
Again, after many years of legal procedures, it's actually 2021 when they finally plead guilty to manslaughter
Okay.
at the end of this process. And were sentenced to, you ready for this? Stephen Armitage and William Dean got an 11.5-year sentences each.
Good God.
And Matthew got 9.5 years. They also got some time served for the time they were in prison during the trial. So that takes a couple of years off there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tried to look at their current status, but they are not out as of this exact moment. I did see that I think Matthew Armitage just got denied a parole. Was it parole? No, appeal 4 days ago.
Jesus.
As of this recording. So even with those tiny sentences, they're all vigorously appealing.
That's insane.
Like,
that's
yeah.
fucking ridiculous.
I'm like, dude, you got like a slap on the wrist. Like, calm down.
Like you guys got so hooked up and you're still complaining. Like, fuck
Yeah.
off. Big
still
fuck off.
desperately trying to appeal to get out. They could be out in a couple years, honestly. Or I guess if they're sentenced in 2021, at the very maximum, Stephen and William Dean would be out in 2032 at the absolute latest.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, probably even earlier than that because of time served. So at the sentencing hearing, we heard from Sean's sister about the Facebook post with the body parts for sale and the skull photo, which she kind of goes into. And I will note that she calls that skull a human skull, but it is obviously not a human skull.
No, no, it's
So
not.
I think maybe she just was jumping to that conclusion based off of the other post, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's not. As of August 2022, Stephen Armitage was still talking about this. He gave some statements saying he was innocent. He denied being part of the murder. He was set up. So this is kind of like a 180 because he pleads guilty to the manslaughter, right, to get the short sentence, and kind of admits to the torture at some point. But now he's like, oh, no, never mind. I didn't do any of it.
It's like, bro, knock it the fuck off. You finagled your way enough. Like, you need to knock it off. Like,
yeah, and he says this guy named Matthew Dean, which is like a smashing of the other two guys' names, which is I didn't realize that until just now.
When you said it, I was like, isn't that one of the guys? Like,
it's just pushing their names together.
Yeah.
He says this other guy, Matthew Dean, who knows who he is, asked him to help move a body, but that's it. That's all I heard about. That's the only involvement I had. And it's like, oh, shut up, Steven. Like, just go home with your skulls and your purple sheets.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
like,
fuck
come
off.
on. Ugh.
So that's it. I mean, the last thing I wanted to say was that I think the press reports are kind of rude to Sean because they're very much like drug dealer, murder, and I'm like, why do you have to just call him a drug dealer every single time? Like every sentence he's referenced, it's like meth dealer, Sean Baker, and I'm like, just call him. He's just person, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's
calm
like
down.
It's like sex worker or whatever, like it's that similar kind of treatment, the devaluing ahead of time, which could be part of why the judge didn't give a shit. That's probably what it really was.
No, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, like the way that's talked about in the Australian press makes me think that that's kind of why they didn't give a fuck, or they downgraded all these charges, because like, oh, it's just a meth dealer.
Right. It's just a fucking loser. We don't care about them. Their life isn't valuable because they're a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Which, like, don't be a fucking meth dealer. Like, if you're dealing crystal and shit, like, you do fucking suck. But, like, you don't deserve to be fucking torture murdered. That's for sure. And if you are, then the people who are supposedly, like, upholding justice and doing what's right shouldn't be, like, chill about that at all. Sorry, that's my little soapboxing.
No, that's a good conclusion. But yeah, it's really fucked up. Sean Barker was a person with a family that loved him and wasn't just can't just reduce him to being a meth dealer. Because obviously no one deserves this, no matter what you do or don't do. So
yeah, that's fucked up. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, that was at least a ride, like a wild fucking ride.
Yeah, it's very weird.
And weird and interesting. This case that I'm doing is just absolutely depressing. Like just completely, there's nothing else about it. It just sucks, and I apologize. I'm going to talk about Randy and Emily Janzen. This takes place in Canada in 2015 in the Chilliwack area, in British Columbia. And I'm going to start by talking about Emily Janzen. In 2015, she was 19 years old, living with her parents and studying music. She was an only child and was basically perfect. She was like beautiful, super smart, got along great with her parents. She had tons of friends growing up. She was really sweet. And she was also a very talented and dedicated singer and also a musician. So besides singing, she also played the bass in her high school band. But her main thing was singing. And she was just generally a musical person. Over the years, she won many accolades as well as roles in various musicals, such as Sunset Boulevard, which she performed with the Chilliwack School for the Performing Arts. So this school isn't like somewhere, it's not like you go there instead of like a regular high school. It's like a summer school, after school program. But for people her age, you had to audition to get into the class. And she, of course, made it. Not only that, but like won a leading role in one of their productions. So this is just to say that she was very, very talented. And I saw a video of her singing with her jazz band. Like she had a jazz band. At this point, she's 19, right? And she already has like...
That's very like sophisticated, very fancy.
Yeah, she's got like a backing band. And she sang Orange Colored Sky. I don't know if you heard it, you would know it. It's like a standard. It's like a jazz standard. And she killed it. She killed it. She did so great. Like it sounded great. And I think in that video, she was 17 singing. Like singing like a professional jazz singer.
Nice.
I don't know if you know this, but like but like a long time ago when I was in my 20s, just kind of for fun, I took singing lessons. I just wanted to learn because I was
you're a great singer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you are.
I was doing like karaoke and stuff, and I would hurt my voice a lot. And I was like, I should learn how to actually sing because I fucking karaoke like 3 times a week, which I don't anymore because my life is sad. But it was like I should learn how to do it. I know. My teacher, who ended up being like a friend, and we actually had like friends in common because she went to USC and all my friends did, and she was only a year older than me. She's actually like a like highly regarded jazz singer herself. Like that's all she does now is
Nice.
like sings jazz music for a living and tours, and she's incredible. Um anyway, her name's Sarah Gazaric if anybody's into that. But anyway, so I have heard like good jazz, and she was young, but she was really fucking into it, and she was really fucking good. I
Yeah.
really think that she would have like gone somewhere had this terrible thing not
Yeah.
happened. So I guess I jumped the shark there a little bit, but here we go. So Emily's
Gotcha.
parents, Randy and Laurel, doted on Emily endlessly. Randy worked at a lumber mill in the area, and I believe that Laurel was a homemaker. So it was just like a very like old school style home, very stable home life. Everybody was really happy. Randy had a sister, Shelley, who lived in the area and was also very involved in their lives. So just a really like stable home life. However, from a really young age, Emily suffered from headaches. In elementary school, when they started, they were pretty mild, but as she got older, they became both more frequent and more severe. And by the time she was 16 or 17, sorry, she was dealing with debilitating migraines on a daily basis. Yeah.
Daily. That's so tough. I've known several
Daily.
people who have like constant debilitating migraines, and that's
Yeah.
like, I mean, you can relate. You've had some too, but
Oh God.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's
I don't-
intense. Yeah.
Yeah. I get them. I can kind of know when I'm going to get one. But I probably would say I get like 1 or 2 a month, and I get
Yeah.
like visual disturbances. I forget what they're called. But if I
Ocular. Yeah.
ocular, thank you. But if I get like an ocular migraine, I can take like a shitload of pain meds, and then it'll head off the headache. And then I can, for the most
Yeah.
part,
Yeah.
function
Kinda
for the rest of
function.
the day. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I actually have known people who had them so frequently and so bad that they were like doing like experimental treatments where they'd go like stay in a
Mhm.
facility
Yeah,
for
same.
a month, like fucking
It's
crazy
really
shit.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah,
they totally ruin your life.
they do. They really do.
Yeah.
So this was really serious and really fucking bad. And her parents were obviously very involved in helping her with this. And I think this is part of why she lived with them at this time, because she is 19, you know, and so I think a lot of
Right.
people her age would have not.
But she definitely needs some extra help with stuff.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she was having trouble like getting out of bed, you know.
Oof.
So yeah, and before the migraines really started, Emily was able to mostly manage her pain. She could use over-the-counter medicine. Even friends who knew of her condition said it seemed much less severe than it apparently was, because she would downplay it. She'd keep singing, she'd keep playing music. She'd mention she had a headache, but then she would just kind of keep going as though she never said anything, you know. So it was really hard to stop her, and she didn't want to be stopped. She dreamed of being an opera singer. She was training for it, which is a really interesting thing to go from like jazz to opera. It makes sense kind of in a way. But yeah, like my grandma actually weirdly was an opera singer. So this like a
Oh.
lot of this like I was reading about this, and like it felt like kind of personal.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, she wanted to be, you know, an opera singer, but she was having trouble doing that because she'd have to take so much time off to like rest, to manage her pain. Obviously, like she had worked as like a teacher, I think like instructing singing or bass or something in that capacity, you know, in that field, but she couldn't do it anymore because she was so fucking sick.
Yeah.
Her mother, Laurel, was really active on Twitter and would post constantly about the migraines and how they affect people's general health. Not just like migraines hurt your head, but like migraine sufferers are prone to heart disease, fibromyalgia,
Oh.
anxiety, and
Of
2/3
course.
yeah, I mean, yeah, 2/3 of migraine sufferers report depression as like a major symptom of, or not symptom, but result of their migraines, which
Yeah,
exactly.
of course. When you feel like shit all the time, it's like, duh.
Yeah, it's terrible. One of Randy's friends at work said he saw the toll that it was taking on the family, and especially on Randy. He said, you know, he never met Emily, but he could see how upset Randy was that she was in pain all the time. She said that over
Yeah.
the 8 years they worked together, he talked about her so much that this guy felt like he knew her. And in the last 2 years that they worked together, Randy's emotions were a roller coaster. And it all seemed to be centered around Emily's condition. So like one day she I guess might feel better and he'd be fine. The next day he was like upset or anxious or angry. So he was really deeply affected by her health as well. The whole family was.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Makes sense. Emily, for her part, tried to keep like a rosy outlook. She would post about her migraines, but she was also like a typical teenager. So she'd post like funny shit and like cute shit and like, pictures.
She's not letting it define her
selfies.
entirely.
No, not at all. Not at all. Which I think, considering what was going on, was hard to do, but she was doing it, right?
Yeah.
So now we're in early May 2015, the 7th of May to be exact, and nobody has seen the Janzen family for a few days. Then friends of Randy see a very concerning post on his Facebook page. This post reads, "Over the last 10 days, I have done some of the worst things I could have ever imagined a person doing. First to do with my dear, sweet, loving daughter, Emily. The best little girl two parents could ever hope for. She was talented and smart and filled our hearts with laughter. She was always willing to help with a smile, even when she was feeling lousy. Emily excelled at so many things, but slowly had to stop almost everything because of the migraines. When it affected her beloved singing, it took a part of her soul. She has been very ill with migraines that have plagued her since elementary school. This has caused her to miss 2 years at UBC, which completely broke her heart. I don't think anyone really knew how much pain Emily was in on a daily basis and severe depression that these migraines caused her. Emily watched her friends from high school move on with their lives, while hers was spent wrenching in a puke tray and hours at the emergency room. Since October/November, her migraines have escalated to excruciating again, and I just could not see my little girl hurt for one more second. She had shown unimaginable strength through a lot of the migraine pain over the years and always seemed to try to look on the bright side and always loved talking about things, quote, when I get better, let's do this and let's do that. I wish, sweetheart. Emily had tried everything to get better, but nothing seemed to help her. I took a gun and shot her in the head, and now she is migraine-free and floating in the clouds on a sunny afternoon, her long, beautiful brown hair flowing in the breeze, a true angel.
Oh my God.
Then I shot Laurel because a mother should never have to hear the news her baby has died. Then a couple of days later, my sister Shelley, because I did not want her to have to live with this shame I have caused all alone. Yeah. Now my family is pain-free and in heaven. I have great remorse for my actions and feel like the dirt that I am. I am taking full responsibility for my actions of these murders. So sorry to anyone I have hurt. Rest in peace, my little family. Love, Daddy-O. XOXO.
Okay. Fuck him. I'm sorry.
100%.
Like,
100%.
Fuck him. I'm sorry. Like, I could feel bad for the family, if they were just suffering with migraines. But like, here's the thing. Fuck you. She didn't decide to die. She wasn't suicidal herself. We know she was depressed, but she wasn't like, I can't take the pain anymore. I want to end my life. Like, that wasn't her fucking decision, which, obviously wouldn't be great either if it was. But it's like, no, you don't get to force that on. You don't get to kill your child because they're essentially disabled. Like, you don't get to do that.
Thank you.
Like, that's fucked up. That's like eugenic.
And then decide to kill your wife so she doesn't have to deal with it. And then randomly decide to kill your sister.
Oh, just throw in the sister for fun? Like, what the fuck?
Like, seriously, dude, what the fuck? Like, the first half, you feel so bad. And then the second half, you're like, fuck you for fucking ever, you piece of shit. You piece of fucking shit. And I get that it's like,
oh, it's not like I killed my daughter because she had a headache one time. Like, yeah, she had severe headaches. But again, you don't kill your kid because they're sick or disabled.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Support them and shut up and hope they get better.
This obviously was he couldn't handle it anymore. That's what it was. And he put this on her, but he couldn't handle it. And he also couldn't admit, I take full responsibility. No, you didn't, because you're putting this on her. I put her out of her misery. Like, no, you were thinking about you.
Yeah. No, and the long description about how much he was suffering was just to build it up that he did something good.
Yeah.
And like, he only included that long ass description of how bad it was so he could look like this like fucking heroic savior. And it's like,
exactly.
No, the real reason is that he couldn't take anymore. He was frustrated. He was aggravated, and he just wanted to be done with the whole situation.
Yep. And it's fucking trash. And like, also, okay, it's not like I'm not ranking from like most reasonable to least reasonable, but killing your sister who doesn't even live with you, so she doesn't have to, like, do you have any cousins you wanted to go visit? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, just killing off your entire family? Like, who the fuck do you think
that
you
came
are?
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Like, god damn, dude. Like, she's
he was
not
like
even
a family annihilator who was like, who else could I throw in here? Like, he stopped and was like trying to add someone else.
Yes, it's disgusting. He's such a piece of shit. So, all right.
Now my family is pain-free and in heaven. No, fuck you. They're fucking mad. They're in heaven and they're mad.
And you're in hell. I don't believe in any of that, but, just saying.
No,
theoretically.
Still.
So his friend,
yeah,
his friend was like, I didn't even believe it when I read the post until he signed it Daddy-O, because that's what they used to call him. Like, that was his name. Like, it was Daddy-O, which, like, this motherfucker doesn't deserve, like, a cute nickname. And to sign off with that is, like, attempting to be endearing.
I just shot my family in their heads. Like, cutesy sign off.
Fuck
dude. You, dude.
Yeah, seriously. So friends saw this Facebook post. They started calling the cops. Neighbors at two of the homes, the sister's home and the family home, had also called in saying, like, we are hearing gunshots. Like, what the fuck? Which is interesting because he shot his family. And then 10 days later is when he posted this. And 10 days later is when the cops finally came. Yeah. So
10 days later?
Yeah. So, yes. So he was in that house with his dead daughter and wife. And like left their dead bodies, drove to his sister's house and murdered her, and then drove back and continued to live with the dead bodies.
Lived with the dead bodies. Wow. Yes,
for days.
Wow.
So finally, the cops show up. There's a 4-hour standoff. It was ended only after the police threw flash grenades into the home, which then set it on fire. Which, like, maybe you should be allowed to use those if they're gonna set a house on fire. Because what if he was just holding them hostage and now the cops have burned them to death? Like, come on, guys.
Well, and there could be like other kids or family members or pets in the household. And also, what if it's connected to other houses? You could burn down 3 other houses.
Or even if it's not, you still could. It's a very irresponsible thing. Shocking Absolutely. That the cops did something irresponsible. So when they were finally able to get inside the home, they found the bodies of 3 people. 50-year-old Randy, so I should have bumped my Facebook judging up to 50-year-old white men, who had just shot himself during the standoff, his 56-year-old wife Laurel, and their 19-year-old daughter Emily. Police then went to his sister's home based on his Facebook post and found her dead inside her home. Friends were shocked. They were like, we didn't even know Randy had a gun, but obviously this is something he was planning. I also want to call out the way that this is reported. It's like grieving father, basically the headlines are like grieving father ends daughter's suffering. It's like, no, this is like piece of shit man murders family, including child. Yeah. Like the way that it's reported on is absolutely fucking unacceptable and completely unsurprising.
Isn't it incredible how the media can, in one phrase, take a side completely and just like, completely buy into some shit? That's like when the first episode I was saying that fucking asshole Kenneth Amos, they were like survivor of suicide pact. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's like you're just really taking what these fucking pieces of shit say at face value. Like, come on.
Seems to always be the men that they're doing this for too.
Yeah, it always is. Yeah. So anyway, I really would love to drive this home and break everybody's heart. And so the last thing I'm going to talk about is not the last thing that she posted on Twitter, actually the second to last thing that Emily wrote on.
Wait, what happened with the standoff? They threw a fire?
He killed himself and they threw a flash and then they like put the house out.
I missed that part.
The house was like half burnt down though by the time they did it.
I don't think you said that he killed himself though. You just
No, I did. I thought he did.
All I heard was the house caught on fire and that's where you left me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he shot himself.
Burning house.
No, I said 3 bodies. 50-year-old Randy who shot himself.
Yeah,
I just missed it. It's fine. So they all died, unfortunately. But again, so on Twitter, she was murdered on April 28th, 27th, I think 28th. And on April 24th, 4 days before she was murdered, Emily wrote this. Whenever I start to feel sorry for myself, I just thank God I'm still alive. I complain about all the pain, but at least I'm here to feel it.
Oh my God.
I know.
Fuck this fucking guy. And she had, it's so fucking sad. It's fucked up. It makes me so mad because clearly she had like a really positive outlook, which is hard to have in that situation. And, I'm sure that was also intermixed with being depressed because they can coexist.
Yeah.
But like, She literally was like, even though she was depressed, even though she was having a hard time, she clearly didn't want to die because she fucking said she didn't.
Yeah, exactly. So
like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm not laughing because I find this funny. I'm laughing because it's just like so over the top, horrible, and absurd. Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
And like disabled people and people with chronic pain of all kinds deserve to live however they want to fucking live. Like, it's just should go without saying. Like, it's actually kind of ableist in a weird way, but because like besides also just being like a family annihilator piece of shit, he's also like, well, she was in pain, so of course she didn't want to live. And it's like, no, people in chronic pain can still want to live.
Exactly. And again, who the fuck are you to make that fucking determination, you motherfucking piece of shit? Like, fuck off and die.
Not your
fuck
call.
off and die.
Even if you believe in assisted suicide, it was not his call.
It's not his fucking call. Yeah.
No.
Yep. So there's that fucking sad ass fucking story that I got to sit with for a week and wait to tell you. And I do apologize for that.
Wow. Yeah, what a cocktail of fun we had today.
Yeah, I know. Lucky us.
Oof.
Anyway, all right. So there it was.
Week?
Next week is Themey, kind of accidentally. I saw another podcast, and I can't fucking remember which one now, and I feel like a dick about it. But they were basically saying, like, you know, people, like husbands, significant others, they always get, you know, when somebody dies, they're suspected. Like when their spouse or their significant other dies, they're always the suspect. Like they are who people think is the killer, no matter what. And sometimes, especially if cases are unsolved, or sometimes if they are quote unquote solved, they get the blame for years. They either end up in prison or they just have this shit plaguing them. So I want to do a list that is essentially going to be called "The Husband Didn't Do It." And it's going to be
do it.
Yeah, it's going to be men. We can do some women too if we want, but like spouses who get accused, potentially convicted of killing their significant others and end up being innocent.
And I actually think it works for Valentine's Day because you're trying to like actually say something positive about marriages and love, because you're like, look, this is the one time or the few times where the husband did in fact not kill his
Didn't
spouse.
fucking do it. Yeah. So
isn't it romantic when husbands don't kill their spouse?
There's how low our bar is, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a good one. It's mildly, weirdly romantic, but it's also going to set us down a path of yelling about the injustices of the quote unquote justice system, and kind of once again talking about people who are wrongly accused and what that does to people's lives. Which, you know, I love to get on a soapbox, so that'll give me that. Good
topic, angering topic. There's a lot of podcasts right now about like wrongful convictions, and I just can't do it sometimes. It makes me so mad. I get like my heart rate.
Yeah. I can only listen to the ones where they've been released. And if it's like 40 years later, I'm still like, who is happy about this? Like, there's nothing, like, you can't even call that bittersweet. It's just bitter. It's just bitter. Like, I'm glad they're out, but there's nothing heartwarming about that. Like, it's just angering. So we're going to cover those cases, but it's going to be related only to husbands and relationships. So it just happens to tie in. I think maybe Valentine's Day was on my mind. So there it is.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so that's what we'll do. Thanks everybody for listening. Please like, rate, review, share with your friends, share with your family, share with everybody. And until the next romantic list,
stay
off our list. Stay off our. Bye.